Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Scorpio Super Formula, a season in review. I am Scorpio Blade, and joining me today, the top two drivers from this past season, and wouldn't you know it, their teammates, Onell and Ryan, aka AMS Super 2K and AMS Drift King. Boys, thank you both so much for joining me here today. I've been given a few questions here from Ivan, just a rough a skeleton, if you will, to get through. So we'll start off with a bit of an overall season recap. Obviously, we started off in Bathurst, where Ryan, you took home the first victory of the season. After what looked like a very chaotic turn one, you were able to escape the carnage and took home the victory. As your teammate went on a fantastic recovery drive to get back up into second. Ryan, I guess we'll start with you. Obviously, that the race was many months ago, but tell us, is there anything you remember from it?
I remember SK's probably gonna laugh at this, and he's already smiling because I already know what he's thinking. The second corner of Bathurst going up the hill, and like him trying to give me space and getting it wrong. I still remember that. That was very funny for me at the time because the way he hit the wall. If you look back on my stream, the way he hit the wall was pretty funny. But other notable moments where I was going long, I believe, and it was Leicester and I think Paymay that I overcut by like 10 laps. I want to say I can't remember. It seems like yesterday, but it's really a year ago. So it's
Yeah.
difficult to remember. But those are the two moments that really sticked out to me. The rest of the race was pretty silent for me. So I know a lot happened further back with S2K and Nico fighting their way up the field and a lot of other battles, but I couldn't really watch back any of the stream because we didn't have it up at the time for it. So, but it was still a good race.
And then Ornell?
I remember, well, again, obviously what Ryan brought up, me being 90 degrees into the wall at turn two. By that point, I was just like, it might already be over. And I tried overthinking everything because it was a lot of pressure at the beginning because it's like you always want to perform, you always want to win the first race of the season because it kind of shows like a statement. But then after that wreck, I think I ended up like 30 to 32 seconds behind first, which I believe at the time was Ryan or Lester. But then I remember just chipping away, and I just was full pushing the whole time because I didn't want to finish the first race like below top 8, and I wanted to maybe see if I can get up to top 6, and I thought that was more realistic, and I ended up finishing P2. I think only like 3 seconds behind. So I mean, it was a really good race. I mean, aside from turn one, I think it would have been like a really dominant show. But anyways, it made it more fun for me at least. So yeah.
Well, either way, it was a fantastic result, obviously, both for both of you two, and really set the tone for things to come later in the season. We'll move on. The second round, a bit of a roller coaster for you at Suzuka. You started up front. I forget exactly where you qualified, but you were up front all day, and then right around the halfway point, just something happened coming out of either turn one or two, going into the S's, and uh, everything just slipped away from that point. Do you remember anything from that day?
Unfortunately, I do. I remember for the race, we had both me and Ryan, we had a very mediocre setup. I'm not going to say that was the reason why I crashed because Ryan did a good job not crashing. But I tried pushing way too hard, and we had a lot less downforce on the car than we were supposed to. So as the tires begin to age, the grip reduces a lot, and there's not enough aero to actually help your car stay on track. So coming out of turn two, pushed a little too wide, went in the grass, and then spun out. Then after recovering, I ended up getting rear end damage because I came onto the track and then someone rear ended me. Had to pit for the damage as well. And then I ended up, I believe, P7 it was, maybe. I ended up finishing P5. But I remember like I was gonna maybe get P4, maybe even a podium for Lester, but I had no overtake at the end. So then Lester just kept holding me up. He's like, I'd catch up to him in the corners, and then he'd pull away on the straight. It was like that for me, 3 or 4 laps, and then I just lost it. So it was a very chaotic race, and I feel like a lot of things went wrong. But again, I was still learning about everything about the series, the competition, stuff like that. So yeah, not a race that was nice to remember.
Of course. And then, Ryan, was there any moments from that race that you remember in particular?
I also do remember S2K's spin that he had. I think it was turn 2 that he said. And yeah, it was an unlucky spin, I'll say that. But the rest of the race was, I don't know, almost unnotable for me.
No. Take it easy. I spun. Yeah. Oh! Are you still on him?
My fucking god. I have damage. I have to be fucking kidding me.
I don't remember much of that race, other than that, and the setup that we had was not the greatest. And I it's kind of like a PTSD with the setup. I could just imagine like the setup screen, what the exact setup was, and it's just like, yep, that's probably not right. I just still remember it to this day. So, but that's what we ran. So you can't undo the past. So that's what we had to use.
Well, it certainly looked like you guys turned it right around, because the next 2 rounds, both Daytona and Road Atlanta, there were some incredible 3-way fights between both you two and then, of course, Nico, who got into the mix as well. Some of the most intense racing we got to see really all season. Obviously, I know, Ryan, you and Nico really had it out for each other. I believe it was at Road Atlanta. And then there was I forget if it was a setup thing or something happened that one of you spun at Daytona going into turn 1. Do you guys remember anything from those 2 races?
For the Road Atlanta race, I do remember having that really hard fight with Nico, and that I'm not gonna say it. The move, I'll just say that. Coming into turn 1 in the final lap, I still remember that, and I think the race for me would have gone a little bit better if on the first pit stop I like cut the pit lane marginally, and I got a 3 second. I remember that, and very just unlucky with that. I was so close to not getting one, but that's definitely what didn't help. And then the rest of the race was just very hard fought. For Daytona, both me and S2K had a spin at turn 1, but the reasoning behind it was very weird. It was like this weird, like lazy, like it's almost like you turn into the corner, and you start to turn in, and you have grip, and then you start to turn a little bit more, and then it feels like the rear has no arrow anymore, and the car just wants to go on you for no reason.
1.3 seconds away.
Michael now taking a look on the outside of Super 2K. He doesn't have the slipstream, though, as the moment he tucks out, Super 2K is able to... Drift King's going around. He's lost the back end going into turn 1. Oh, and he's going to lose so much time from that. We've not seen hardly any mistakes out of him all season. Just going into turn 1, lost the back end. What a shame. He was very fortunate to be able to hold on to it and not make contact with that outside wall.
For us, it didn't make sense why the cars, why one A car spun in that turn, and why both cars spun in that turn in the same race at very, very different stages of the race. Mine was like first 5 laps. His was like the last 7 laps. It doesn't make sense to have a spin like that, like replicated spin, so far apart. If it's going to happen, it should happen around the same time. So it just didn't make any sense.
For me, it was sometime around like lap 39, lap 40. It was just weird. It's like you go into the corner, it didn't feel like anything was going wrong, and automatically the car would just snap to the left. When you want to correct it, you're going to go straight to the right. And then on my end, when I tried recovering the car, I had a little bit of a smart moment of mine to come onto the track right in front of 2 cars. They got a bunch of penalty points for that.
It's literally the replica of Ryan's incident. We're gonna go through it as well, but the way he returned on track, I'm sorry, but this is a penalty.
But I mean, even with left rear damage, I mean, I was catching Nico, and I knew like I was fast, and I was gonna get there at the end. I just didn't have enough overtake. But that race, I feel like it was a really strong run by me and Ryan because he had to make an extra pit stop and he only ended up, I believe it was like what, 10 seconds, 12 seconds off the back of me and Nico. And me and him were doing really good pace. So overall, it was really good for me and him. It's just we had two exact misfortunes that happened. So luck wasn't on our side that race, but later on in the season, it was pretty good.
Well, you say later on in the season. I would argue it happened the race immediately after because we were off to the Nürburgring GP, and it certainly felt like a turning of the tides, quite literally, given the rain. Obviously, Ryan, you started on pole position, but Onell, it was you who took home the win in a pretty dominating drive.
For me, I remember the start of the race. I went from P3, and then on the exit of turn 1, I think I was first. And I had a little snap, and then so did Ryan, and then he kind of got screwed over a little more than I did. But then from that point, I was just gone. I mean, I practiced a lot of the rain. I was feeling really comfortable at that track, and I was really mad coming off of the Daytona race because I knew that really should have just been mine to win because of the way I was driving and the gap I had. So a lot of anger kind of drove some motivation for me. Like, okay, like I'm not going to lose this race. Like I need to win one of these because I've shown that at Bathurst, I've had the pace to win. Suzuka, I had the pace to win. Maybe had I not spun. Daytona, I probably should have won. So I'm like, I'm tired of those three, races and like those kind of outcomes. So I knew the Nürburgring race, that was going to be the changing point for me. And then it was. So I didn't have any challenges really that race. I didn't really have a mess up. I didn't spin. I didn't really spin the tires. I was just driving really perfectly, very fluid, very direct. So overall, that was a really good race for me, and I found it pretty fun. So yeah.
Overspeed to hold it off. We have a yellow flag in this final sector. Super 2K has won the race here at the Nürburgring. Chung and Sanchez will hold on to it. Positions will hold station. It's an AMS 1-2.
Next race was Le Mans, and that one was certainly one for the books. Obviously, Onell, you had incident on lap 1 that forced you to pit early, dropped you to the back, and put you on a recovery drive. I think you still ended up top 5, which was a great result after that. Ryan, this would actually end up being your first race off of the podium due to the changing weather conditions, and it would be I believe it was Peme who took home his one and only victory on the season that day.
Yeah, it was Peme that did win that, and I remember I was gonna catch up at one point because Peme was on the wets, I'm pretty sure, and then me and S2K. Actually, I'm not sure about S2K, but I know I was on the inters, and I was coming up to, I think it's called Daytona turn now, like the one going onto the Mulsanne. I don't know what it's called now. I was coming up to that corner. I was a bit too far on the inside, and I just barely caught the curb, I think, and had to spin. So very unlucky. I remember S2K having his own problems that race. So I'll let him explain that though. But the race itself was kind of not what I expected though, because being Daytona and being in such high downforce cars, I was expecting it to be like a very much pack race, like a lot of people to be together, like kind of what we saw at the second last round at high speed ring. But it was just everyone kind of spread out. I don't know if it was because of Dirty Air playing the fact, because Dirty Air is very, in this game and in these cars with such high downforce, Dirty Air is very bad. You can feel it from like a second and a half back for some reason. But I think they have toned that down a little bit in the recent updates. I don't know. I haven't lapped Super Formula in a while. Probably since the last race of the season, I haven't lapped Super Formula. So it's, I don't know. The race was an interesting one, that's for sure.
For me, again, lap 1, I was playing a little bit easy. I don't remember the corner, to be honest. I think it's Indianapolis, I think.
I believe Indianapolis being the
it's like
left-hander and then Arnage
like
the right. So it should be...
Yes. So it was going the corner before Arnage. I forgot what you already said.
It is Indy.
I broke a little bit early because I thought I was carrying some overspeed because I had some of Nico's slipstream down the straight. So I got by him. I broke early. And then Nico's been having connection issues the whole season. So I think it looked like I broke really sudden for him, and then he slammed my right rear or my rear wing. Then I got damaged. I ended up again 30 seconds back, and then I ended up catching up after all that. I mean, for me, that was probably one of my favorite races, even though I didn't win. I mean, considering Le Mans and it's like a lot of straightaway, a lot of flat out, I was gaining a considerable amount. And the race was so fun itself. I mean, the change of conditions, the rain, all that. It was such a fun race. And I think I also would have had potential to win along with, again, me and Ryan. We had some unfortunate things for me coming out of a corner. My wheel, the Logitech G923, it has gears. And sometimes if you turn the wheel really quickly, which happens a lot in the rain when you have to, catch the car, it skipped a couple gears. So my game thinks I'm going straight when in reality my wheel is like maybe 30 degrees to the left. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm going straight, but in reality I'm going left. So then when I get on the power, my car spins out, and then I end up, out of contention for the win. But again, it was a really fun race. I had a blast doing it, even though the beginning half.
Well, I would imagine you also had some fun with the next couple of races that came up. Was the double header, or the impromptu double header at Austria, where we had a newcomer come into the mix and start battling you guys up front with Larson. Some of the best racing we saw from the broadcast perspective as well, with how close you two were the entire race, it felt like. I'm curious to hear what you guys thought about it.
So I'll go from the first Austria race to the second one. So the first race, it went pretty smooth. I mean, I didn't really have much contention. Larson did a one stop from soft to medium, and the one stop was just slower. So then I just ended up winning, and I tried backing him up so Ryan can maybe get in front of him. But Ryan also, he ran out of tire by that point, so it was kind of done from that race. But that race was pretty quiet. I mean, I was just leading the race, putting in laps, ended up winning. That was a pretty quiet race. Whereas the second race, it looks like he pulled a second out of nowhere, and he was just flying the whole time. He, again, started on the soft, I believe. He went soft, medium soft, something like that. And then he ended up making a mistake pitting at lap 43, I believe it was, if I'm getting my math right. Lap 43 instead of lap 53. So he had to do an extra stop, and he still only finished like right on my tail. I feel like that race really should have been his to win. For me, I just didn't have the pace he had, whether that comes down to setup or driving. Overall, he just did an amazing job. And then from that point on, I'm like, okay, I knew I had to take him a little bit more serious than I was the last race. I also knew in the final two corners, he was taking I believe the last one flat, and the one before that just barely a lift. And when I was watching that back on stream, I'm just like, okay, I don't know what this guy has for setup or what he's doing, or if he's just chucking the car into the corner. He's doing something that I don't know. So then because of that race, I started experimenting a lot more with the setups. So I feel like that was also a really big changing point in the season, because then I actually tried new formulas to kind of get more pace out of the car. So it was a pretty interesting doubleheader.
All Larson realistically needs to do now is just keep it on the gray stuff. Super S2K, I think, is now starting to push a little more, that he knows that his teammate's not going to be able to catch. It was an interesting team strategy to try to get him the spot, but it will be the birthday boy, Super S2K, crosses the line to win once again here in the Scorpio Super Formula Series at the Red Bull Ring.
And I'd say for me, the doubleheader was definitely still pretty decent. A lot of people, from what I remember in the first race, struggled with connection, and that's why I think we had the second race. S2K is like, yep, I can see it already. But yeah, it was both races were still pretty good. I was just like S2K. I was annoyed that we were doing Red Bull Ring again, but it was something that the guys decided to do, so we had to do it. But other than that, it was, I don't know, I was definitely running by myself most of the time. Having a brain fart, sorry.
All good.
I had a lot of podiums, that's for sure. there were definitely a couple races that I felt like I should have won. Daytona also being one of them because like we had insane pace. Both me and S2K. I think if both we didn't have our problems, we would have been a lot closer to Nico for sure. And personally, for me, Le Mans was the biggest, just like most discouraging thing like I ever had happen to me in this series for sure, because it was like, I was like going to win this race if I didn't have that crash, because the other two cars in front of me were on wets and the track was about to start to dry out a little bit, and I was on the inters. I would have been going so much quicker, but because I had that spin and crash, it meant nothing.
Well, you spoke about being close to Nico. Nobody was at the next event, which was Brands Hatch, where I believe he set the record and then held on to the largest margin of victory over the course of the season, being 40 seconds. Unless there was a race I'm forgetting about.
Nico didn't race. You're mistaking him for Larson. Larson had
that
the
was
biggest
Larson
gap.
in Brands Hatch.
Nico did not race that race.
My apologies. It was Larson. I have incorrect notes. So it was a correction. It was Larson who won Brands Hatch. Obviously, Larson, league of his own that race. Was there really anything you guys think you could have come up with looking back on it now, or?
To be honest, in my opinion, no. Because at first when we were testing, it was just me and Ryan. We thought we were doing pretty okay pace. We thought our setup was comfortable enough. We thought we were doing okay. Then Larson joins our lobby and then proceeds to go, I think, half a second faster. And I'm staring at my screen. I'm like, okay, what happened? You know what I mean? So then it's like panic started to set in. It's like, we can't be half a second off, because maybe like I started thinking maybe we're just slow at the track, and maybe, there's 4 cars that are quicker than us on top of that. So I start fiddling with setup. So does Ryan. We try at least stiffening the rear. We try messing with some ride height. We try messing with camber, toe, stuff like that. Even the downforce settings. And then we're trying to change all of this maybe not even an hour before the race start. So, then we run with the setup. We didn't really practice with tire wear. We didn't run any of that. So then for me personally, my car was so sketchy to drive with full fuel, no fuel, nothing. It's just the whole time the car was sketchy. Over curbing, on throttle, sector 1. I mean, the thing was a pain in the what to drive. And then I ended up having a spin behind lap cars. So I think I lost like another 10 seconds from that. Not that it makes me feel any better that I lost by 40 seconds, but that race was really bad. Probably the worst one I have driven in that season. So yeah, I did not like that race a lot.
Doubled that margin of victory. And on a track where there has not been an ounce of rain, he rounds the final corner to cap off what has been an astonishing victory. Larson crosses the line, captures the goose egg, and will win it here at Brands Hatch. Super S2K still has half a lap to go, by the way. Ryan will cross the line now to finish 4th.
I would say the same for me as well. It was definitely the worst race for me as well. It definitely didn't help that I was kind of having at that time an off of the game, where I was having doing a lot of events at that time, and I didn't put as much practice in as I wanted for the Brands Hatch round. And the pace was definitely off a little bit for Brands Hatch, that's for sure. Being half second off is definitely not good at a track that takes you only 50 seconds to lap. And I would say the biggest problem that I had that race was getting a good taste of the pit wall on the way into the pits. It definitely didn't help, and I had to stay stationary for, I think it was S2K stuff. I see you laughing over there. I had to stay stationary for a minute because I had both front suspension damage. So it definitely didn't help, that's for sure. But definitely a race to forget. I would say, as a team, me and S2K, combined worst race of the season for sure. But yeah, it was not one to remember.
Well, sticking with the theme, unfortunately, the next one I have on my notes is Monza. And I think the less said about that might be the better. I see with the reactions. Obviously, it looked like we were going to be okay, and then turn 1 happened. Fortunately, it looked like a
Classic Monza.
Yeah. Fortunately for you guys, both Nico had issues. I think Larson still went on to win that race because he managed to sneak through the carnage. Somehow, I think he avoided getting damaged despite being collected in the Turn 1 accident.
And we are underway in the Temple of Speed, and it looks like a good start for Super S2K. He's going to start pulling on his teammate Ryan immediately as they come down to Turn 1. Larson looks to have also had a very good start. He's going to jump on the brakes early, but it's Lucanyo who takes out both of the AMS drivers. Larson is going to sneak through for the lead. Oh, goodness gracious, what on earth happens?
Unfortunately, I remember a lot of details from that race. I'm not going to include all of them, obviously. Again, turn 1 was definitely not one I enjoyed because I remember me and Ryan, we were like basically side by side going into turn 1. And my intention was not to pass him. My intention was to kind of keep it too wide through the chicane so then we can at least keep 1 and 2, keep Larson behind. Little did I know that there was a heat-seeking missile coming from behind, right behind us. And then, we got collected. I believe I got front and rear wing damage, and then Ryan, I believe, got rear wing damage. We pitted, we went along. We were again a pit stop behind Larson. He didn't get any damage, so he just kind of went on his race, and he had no competition behind him, so he was just running away. Then me, I believe it was lap 8 or lap 7. Someone spun off and then parked the car on the exit of turn 1.
Lucy spins, yellow flag there, and then he...
Oh, gee, and Super S2K is caught up in it, too. Front wing damage again. Lucy just coming out of the first chicane, spins it, gets into the gravel, backs up, back onto the circuit, and then as he tries to get going, Super S2K just runs into the back of him.
And I saw that they were ghosted, and my assumption is because they're like stopped that they're going to stay ghosted. And also I didn't have enough like runoff to kind of like, move my car at the end. So then I just slammed into him, lost another pit stop length to everyone else. And then even after all of that, I still ended up managing, I think, to finish P4 it was. And I was getting close to Ryan, but then leaving the... I'm forgetting, is it Degna 1, Degna 2? I don't know, but it's like the double right before the Ascari chicane.
I believe it's the Lesmos. The Degnas are Suzuka.
Oh my god, yeah. Don't ask me about track stuff.
It's all good. All good.
I don't know track news, but the Lesmos, coming out of the second one, I got a bunch of dirty air and then my car spun out. Luckily didn't get any damage or anything like that, but then I just decided, okay, I'm gonna stay P4. I put on soft tires, tried to go for a fast lap, but I didn't have enough overtake at the end. So couldn't get that, unfortunately. But after all of that, to finish P3 and P4 was definitely not bad, but obviously, I mean, we could have done a lot better. At least challenge for P1 or even be on podium, both of us. That would have been nice, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, Monza was definitely like an unlucky one on turn 1, that's for sure. S2K having memories of it in the background there. Heat-seeking missile, yeah. It was definitely unlucky on turn 1. I think, if I remember from the replay, just like picturing it, I was like a couple inches off and just barely clearing S2K getting hit. And then I got tagged because I was just not clear of him. And then the rest of the race for me was just fighting through the pack, most of them. It was pretty easy to get by them. I know Nico, I believe it was the last corner, Parabolica, or at least that's what it used to be called. I have no idea what it's called now. He clipped the grass on the entry, and me and SDK did that a couple times in practice. And you clip that grass, the barrier is keen to meet you, that's for sure. Yeah, exactly. It was not a friendly piece of track, that's for sure. That's probably one of the main things I remember, because we also had the very rare thing happen. Nico was actually in our voice chat at the time when we were racing. So we've like never had that happen before. Where it's like, okay, Nico's here, he just wants to, I guess, chat with us, I guess, while he races. So it was definitely different for sure. What we were saying in the chat, that's for sure. We can't be as like as informative to each other because Nico's there. But we still tried to get everything we could across. I know they had a lot more problems than I did. I believe I finished P2 that race. And then SUK, was it 3? Who was P2? I don't remember who was P2
I
then.
can check that.
P2 was Cashman.
Ah.
Oh, it was Casman, yeah. I forgot about Casman,
I have a really good memory in terms of these races. I remember a lot of things.
I don't. I don't. Probably for good reason.
Yeah, no, Cashman passed me because he ended up doing, I believe, an extra stop for the softs, and then he just got by you. And then you're P3.
Oh, yes, it was. No,
it.
yeah, it was Casman, actually, yeah.
So Caspin in a very good spot at the moment as
Overtakes Chung.
I apologize that we missed the overtake for second place.
Yeah, because Casman also came in the pits with us because he had damage. I remember that now, yeah.
Yes.
I forgot about Casman completely. Sorry about that.
Well, hopefully the next couple of races will lighten the mood because we had the back-to-back barn burners that were Watkins Glen and Sao Paulo. Some of the best races, probably the best racing of the entire season. So many cars had a chance to win those two races. But obviously there were a few moments, Watkins Glen in particular, I remember being a bit controversial.
For me, in hindsight, probably being a little too aggressive. I was being, well, rather aggressive because earlier in the race, Ryan was in front of me, and I believe Larson was tagging Ryan in the middle of the corner. And he kept giving him little nudges. And then I remember little nudges I would get beforehand or little nudges that he would give to Ryan in other races. Then I just decided, like, okay, he needs to kind of get a taste of his own medicine kind of thing. I was on hards, and I believe he was either on softs or mediums. Going to the bus up too wide, probably not the brightest idea in hindsight again, but did that, got clipped, went sideways, tried re-entering the bus stop late, car hit the wall, got damaged. And then I pit, and prior to that race, except for Monza, I never had to serve like a 30-second damage rule because let's say when I get damage earlier in the season, I believe before Road Atlanta it was, we didn't have that damage policy. So I pit and I forgot, I'm like, oh wait, I have to serve a 30-second thing. So I went around again and then I pit, then I served the 30-second penalty and I ended up, I think, over a lap down. So that race was just, I could have maybe finished, I believe, top 6, which would have been way better for me. But I ended up finishing, I think it was like 8th or 9th. So it went from a really like promising race because I actually think with the strategy me and Ryan had, which I believe was medium hard soft, we had a really good chance of winning because we just cut out an extra pit stop from the race. But again, you can't really do much when you're in the wall. So
yeah, I would say the Glen was for me at least, a pretty decent race. No, S2K had his problems, and actually I did as well with Larson as well. But it was definitely one where I was kind of mixed on how the racing was. It felt overly aggressive for sure. Like, I don't know. It definitely felt overly aggressive for sure. And I think also with this is completely something else, but I just had to bring it up. With Larson doing, I think it was like 4 stops, like in the race. It's definitely a little ridiculous for sure. But with the Gran Turismo and its recent updates getting the option in lobbies to now have just a rule where you could just use, say, the hards and the medium tires and that fulfills a tire compound swap. I need that light. it's all right. Sorry about that. But I forgot what I was saying now.
It's all good.
What was I saying? It's okay.
The hard to medium swap, you said, with the new updates.
Yes, the hard to medium swap. Thank you. It was the hard to medium swap that you can now do because you have use two different compound tire rule, which is what now Formula One uses. Well, Formula One now uses. They've been using it forever. But now you can do that in the game, is what I meant to say. So we can now have a lot more strategy options. The hards might actually be usable now, even though they're quite still on the useless side. But they're now a legitimate option for strategy. Before, the hards were kind of just always bad. Like, you would never want to use the hards unless you had to go really... Excuse me. If you had to go really, really, really long. Like what we did at High Speed Ring. Like, we went really long on the hards. And we thought that would be good, but because we actually couldn't go as long as we wanted on the hards, we actually wanted to go, like, in an ideal situation, we would go medium to hard for High Speed Ring, because there's so little corners. You just want to stay out there as long as possible. So that would be the best scenario for it. So now with having that option in, we should see, at least next season, if we run it, run that rules, I should say, sorry. We should see a lot more deviation in strategy. None of this nonsense at Watkins Glen with 4 stops and coming out on top just because you're going quicker. And then, again, with the racing being so aggressive, with all these little bumps and touches, you can just give people, like in this game, like you just give people the bumper, or in this case, the front wing, and just get around them. It's very annoying to like have to race like that. And that's the problem, I have to say, with like sim racing, like in general, because there's no fear, you find people being too aggressive. So it's very, very difficult to race cleanly because people just want to push and beat and bang off each other like it's NASCAR. So it's very difficult for the racing and sim racing sometimes.
And then moving on to Sao Paulo, which I believe was a cleaner race, but obviously you guys will probably have your own perspectives on that.
I think Sao Paulo was actually a pretty good race, at least for me. I remember Ryan attempted the one stop, which probably wasn't the move. So that he was kind of out of contention later on in the race. But for the first half of the race, we were like all pretty close. I think we were all from first, who was on softs, to Ryan, who I think was like third or fourth at that time, was like only separated by like 10 seconds for the first half of the race, which to be honest isn't that much. Then the second half of the race is really where I came alive, because again, I was maybe like 5 to 6 to 7 seconds behind Larson on the medium tire. So I'm like, okay, so now I just only have to strap on softs. I only have to strap on 2 fresh set of softs now, and I could just full push. So I did that, and then I caught up to adaptive. And then, I mean, that race, I didn't have a single mistake. I didn't spin. I didn't get a penalty. I didn't get any of that. And it was just overall a really clean race. I made like a really nice overtake in turn 1, thanks to Ryan a little bit. He helped me out a little bit there. I was drafting King down the front straight. Then I dove into the corner, and then I was also like, I had the opportunity to clear Ryan. I'm like, I got to make my way through here. And then I ended up passing. And then that really allowed me to catch up to adaptive, or Larson, excuse me. And when I made the pass on adaptive, I had all the overtake to burn, and he had none. So the move on him was pretty easy, and I was just able to run away. I didn't have to have a slower tire. I could just push, clean air, just set sail. So yeah.
I do actually remember that overtake, and you don't know why I remember that overtake? The only reason I remember that overtake is because that's my current background picture on my PC right now. Like, that exact overtake. It was just such a good background picture. That is my current background photo. And it was definitely a good overtake. I was like, a good picture opportunity, because like a 2 car side by side. I don't think we were that close for most of the season. And my dad, he watches all the races. I say, come down and take a look at this picture I took of our 2 cars. And the first thing he said to me is, why is S2K overtaking you? Like, that's the first thing he said to me. And it was definitely a little funny, but screenshot aside, the race itself was a pretty good race for sure. I knew going right off the bat that it may not be the best strategy for me that I chose doing the one stop, but I had to try something, because at that point I was fighting for contention with S2K, so because it was so close. at that point. I don't remember the gap. It was maybe like 10 points, I want to say, or something like that.
High speed ring.
It was
yeah. Okay.
it was basically going into high speed ring, if I remember correctly, and we're going to get to this in a few moments anyway. But at that point, it had come down to Ryan. You needed to win the final 2 races of the season, and S2K, you had to finish pretty much at the bottom of the points, outside the top 5 minimum, in order for it to happen.
Yeah. The trend for me for this season was definitely not winning. I got a lot of silverware, missing a bit of gold. I got 1, I guess, but yeah. You got the gold. I'll get the silverware. It's all right. But yeah, the Interlagos round. Sorry, the Interlagos round was definitely probably the ceiling point for the season for sure for S2K. It was basically over after that, even though there's still a mathematical chance. A chance is only mathematical. The probable chance is he's going to win at that point.
Right. Well, with that, we move on to the final 2 rounds in the Japanese doubleheader. Obviously, kicking it off with high speed ring, and there's some questionable bump drafting tactics at times, we'll say. But then the final race of the season at Tokyo Expressway, where it looked like it was a pretty decent fight between U2 and Larson at the end. Obviously, S2K, even with the post-race penalties after high-speed ring, still sealed the title at the penultimate race. What was going through your mind at that point?
Didn't win, obviously, but it wasn't that bad of a race. Setup was definitely mediocre, I know for sure. I thought you probably want less downforce at that track. King on his own was doing faster laps than what we were doing in the drafting, so I knew definitely there was a setup mishap there. But when I did the math, even after the post-race like disqualification or post-race penalty, and I saw I still won, I was still just relieved. I didn't have to worry about finishing well, didn't have to worry about like having to get into a cluster with like Adaptive or Nico, or like me having to fight the last race with Ryan, which I didn't want to have to do, like bear with like, what about him, you know what I mean? So it was a relief race, but also I was still kind of pissed at the fact that I got the penalty. Yeah.
Crosses the line to win the race, his first win of the season. Well done to him. But it will be Lester versus S2K. Can S2K find the run out of the final quarter? No. Lester will come home to take second place for Scorpio eSports. S2K will come home third, and he will be your 2025 Scorpio Super Formula Champion.
I would say for me, from high speed ring, I was less pissed on the race, and there's no easy way to say this. I was more pissed on like the running of it. There were a lot of like stuff going on with like changing lobby hosts at last second, because like the first one was unbearable. Like people were taking the line normally through turn 2. And on the stream and everyone else, what we were seeing was everyone wall riding at the top. And it's like we can't race like that. And plus, we're allowing bump drafting in Formula cars. Not going to end well, which it didn't. And I hate to say this, but this is kind of aimed at certain people. I'm not going to say names. But there were certain people going multiple laps down. SUK knows who. He probably forgets all about this. There were certain people, you could start to look at the stream and see who it was if you really want, but I'm not going to say. There were certain people going multiple laps down to give certain people draft, like every lap. And to me, like it's an integrity thing. Like you're willing to give up your integrity of, one, the series, 2, your respect for all the other drivers, and just straight up trying to help one person to win. I get trying to help one person to win, but to literally go 8 laps down to do it, it's very, like, I know there's nothing in the rules for it, but like I'd probably just give the people doing it like a penalty just right off the basis. Like it's not really necessarily fair, because you're well, help fair is fair, I guess. You can help them if you want, but like to go multiple laps down, to be like, I passed, I want to say, like five times, like of people going like 50 miles an hour on the inside. Like you can't do that. Like as much as I like want to help other people, like say for help S2K, like, or help Lester, because Lester, like, even though he's not necessarily on AMS, we're very close friends with Lester. We've worked with him across the entire season, so it's what we're doing. We're good friends with him. We help him out. So, yeah. So it's to see people go to this type of length to get one person up, maybe two positions. It's one, it didn't work, first of all, but two, it shows an integrity problem with it itself. Like, you can't be willingly going so slow to give up your race to help one person go. Like, at that point, why are you racing? Like, you're simply just there as an extension of that other person. It doesn't make sense to do, for sure. But other than that, the lobby obviously was fine after we got it sorted out. And yeah, Ivan definitely learned his lesson with the bump drafting Formula cars. Not a good idea. I said this before already, like on my stream. I didn't really say it openly, but I did say that High Speed Ring was going to be a chaotic race, and it's going to be probably the hardest race to run in the season, just because there's a lot of stuff going on. And then you add in bump drafting. Like me, S2K, and Lester, we were practicing without bump drafting the entire time, because we assumed, like, hey, it's Formula cars, we're not going to be able to bump draft. Let's try to work together to move forward. And then an hour before the race, Ivan says that we're going to allow bump drafting. And it's like, I don't know why we decided to do that, but it happened. So it's good to see that at least maybe like running races next year, there should be a bit more definition in the rules, or at least like what I like to see is a bit more definition in the rules to like prevent people from going multiple laps down to help each other. Or the bump drafting rules are obviously going to already be gone, but maybe also finding like a suitable host for these lobbies where we won't have the problem at High Speed Ring, where we had to go through 3 or 4 different people to figure out who was the best host. I know I'm rambling on about this. Sorry. It comes from a place of passion for sim racing and racing in a whole, and to be fair and clean racing. So that's all I'd really want from a racing game, or even racing in general. So when I see these kind of imperfections, it really bothers me.
No, it's all good, and Frank, not a problem at all, because you're just jumping ahead on a couple questions I already had listed down for later. All good.
Just speeding up time, that's all.
It's all good. So we'll probably circle back to wish list for the future, a segment coming up a little later. That is the season recap. I guess we'll just move on to a few other general questions now for you both. Mentality is something that Ivan, especially with everything that's been going on with sim to real life driving, has been putting a lot of emphasis on, and the mentality needed to get behind the wheel of both the sim and then transfer that over into real life racing. What sort of approaches did you have first at the beginning of the season, and then how did those sort of adapt over the course of how everything played out leading into the season finale?
I can do that one. So, at least for me, the perspective at the beginning of the series, I just took it as, let's say we did a race at Bathurst in ERF. So I just took it like that, like, okay, it's a long race. Let's try to like ease into it. Don't make a lot of mistakes. Obviously, that didn't go my way. But, just like ease into the race. I find if you try to go really, like you try to hammer at the beginning, you're very likely to make a mistake. And it applied to me for the rest of the season, because I didn't have that issue for the rest of the series, at least, not like after round 5 and past. So definitely just ease into the race. The race is long. You have time to do things. That was one perspective I took in. And then now let's talk more mentality. I feel like my mentality always at like pretty much since the beginning of the season, win. Because if you don't win, again, I take this quote, like, if you're not first, you're last. Take it from, what was the
Ricky Bobby.
Talladega Nights?
Yep.
Yeah. From Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby, whatever. Yeah. You're not first, you're last. So I wanted to go in because any series I do, I'm not going there to be second, third, fourth, fifth, and anything below fifth, I'm probably not going to race in the series. However, I want to be there to win. I want to bring my team AMS a good name. I want to bring me a good name. I want to perform well. I want to be the name at the top and be like, oh, like that's the guy, like that's the guy who wins these things, Ryan's laughing. But yeah, I mean, now in the beginning of the season, I was trying really hard. Again, going back to the thing I said, kind of ease your way into the race. I was pushing really hard, like Bathurst, and I was trying to be too careful, but also try to make up positions really quickly. Ended up in the wall. Suzuka tried to push too much halfway through the race, ended up in the grass. Daytona, it wasn't really my fault, let's be honest here. But let's say going back out onto the track in front of 2 cars, that was, again, you're trying too hard to, win. When in reality, you do what you do best. You drive consistently. You drive fast. You'll win. So I feel like that was a big thing for me, in the series. Just like know what you can do, know your abilities, and know your limit. That you'll do well, and obviously that executed throughout for me in the season. So yeah.
I would say like my perspective of going like into the season at first, I was a bit nervous like at first because like it's one of those bigger seasons that we've been doing. It's kind of it's a big deal basically, and I was a bit nervous at first. Like for instance, like the interviews and stuff like that. Like on track driving, I was like, oh, that's mentality side. I'll get to that later. Actually, sorry. But like my perspective with it was I was nervous at first, like to do the speaking, because at first I'm normally more of like I don't like to talk too much normally. Like sometimes I have gotten better as the year goes on, like, and you could hear it in some of the interviews. Like I was a bit nervous to say what I wanted to say sometimes, and then if you go to like the final like 5 rounds of the season, you can tell I'm a lot more comfortable on camera. Even on stream, like I was a lot quieter on my stream, like because I was just focusing on the race, kind of nervous to talk. Now I'm like now like on some of the last races, you should be just having arguments with SUK while racing. It's like I'm a lot more comfortable to talk now, especially like here. When it comes to mentality for like racing, I'm always like kind of the long end game thinker basically. I always think like, okay, I'm not gonna give up like short-term gain for long-term loss, sorry. I'm always trying to like find, okay, what'll be the best to get me like to the end the quickest or something like that. I know SUK's mentality was said it's just to win. If you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby, obviously, like you said. But there's a level like behind that I don't think he said, where it's like you need to like, yeah, you need to basically like have the mentality of, okay, what'll be the best tire compounds for this, the best for that. Like you're trying to think it out as it goes. And then this is more for me, like I personally do that best when I'm thinking of different strategies we could do during the race, because I find like if I'm just by myself lapping, I get like my mind starts to wander basically, and I start to do like imperfections. So if I'm constantly thinking about something, whether that be race strategy, what I'm doing later in the day, like anything, if I'm thinking about something, I find I'll do a bit better. That's why like SUK probably not happy with me with this. Over the race, I'm telling him questions like, what's your gap to the cars around you? What do your tires look like? What do your fuel looks like? Because it's also information for me to help with the race, but it also information that keeps my brain awake for driving, because I always like to be fed information when it comes to these races. So I'm always thinking of something. That's why like sometimes like our best strategy calls were like sometimes with our best strategy calls that were like off the rip, like me thinking of what we could do. We definitely had some good, yeah, I know. Some of them weren't great. I know, SUK, you can say your mind too. Some of them weren't great, because, like, but a couple of them were good. A couple of them were good, were decent. I I wish I could name you which ones right now, but I can't. But yeah, that's basically my mentality when it comes to racing. Like, it's just about getting there to the end, basically.
Well, that plays in, I would say, fairly perfectly into my next question. Teammates and the role that served over the course of the season. Obviously, you two, I would say, were the only two teammates consistently up at the front of the field the entire season. Obviously, Larson had his team owner join in a little bit late, but he was running around mid-pack. Scorpio had a few drivers had drivers in the mix throughout the season as well, but it would be on and off performances for them at times. You two were up front every single day from lights out to the checkered flag. How did that role really help you to, or maybe did it not help you at times?
I think having a teammate like DK or like Ryan, excuse me, is something like I wish everyone can have, because Ryan is one of those people who, like, for me, I found him like a lot like a benchmark. Like he like, let's say he does a lap because he can get up to speed really quickly. Like, that's where I'm supposed to be aiming for. Like, if I'm not there, then I'm like off. You know what I mean? So also having the fact is like you have a teammate. There's also a little level of like competition. Like, let's say you see F1. Like, let's think back to 2016, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg. They both push each other to their limit to see, who's going to come out on top. Having Ryan with me was also like, let's see if I can get a little bit quicker than he like, let me get a little bit quicker than he is. And he probably thinks the same thing. He's like, oh, I want to be a little bit quicker than S2K. And he's laughing because he knows I'm right. So that, and just kind of pushing each other a little bit more. And then on top of that, like, having someone to practice with. Like, you can even ask Ryan right now. I would always text him like, hey, we got to race in a couple days. Let's do some practice. Sometimes he would tell me no. And sometimes I'd be like, okay, I don't care if you said no. Let's get on the game. You know what I mean? Let's practice. Let's do good. Because again, going back to my theory about if you're not first, you're last. If we're not at the front, we're like not doing good enough. If we're going to do a series, I want to do it 100%. I want to do everything I do. My goal is to be at 100% of what I can do. So again, having a teammate like Ryan it's something I love. It pushes me to my limit. It pushes me to do better, find things in setup, and also helps me with strategy a lot. So again, big thanks to him. I love the question, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely well said for S2K, like from S2K. It's definitely good to have a teammate like with you, especially at this level. You're gonna want someone to practice with, to set the benchmark, and also when it comes to testing setups and stuff like that, you have two cars on track at once. You can get like the work done twice as fast, or work on different things, like test what works, test what doesn't work. When it comes to S2K, when he said like saying, "Hey, would you want to practice today?" I feel a little bad. Yeah, it's definitely good to have a teammate, that's for sure. And S2K, he's always, because he's so quick, like he said with me, like I'm very good at getting up to speed like pretty quickly. That's what I do my best, where I'm like, let's just do this race, jump in, do like 30, 40 minutes of practice. Okay, I'm up to speed enough. That should be good. What race was it? There was one race that we had S2K where we did practice for it, and I was like a second, maybe 7/10 quicker than you
Monza.
per lap. Was it Monza?
Yes.
Yes, it was Monza. Yes, actually, I was like a second to like 7/10 quicker than him per lap, and he was like struggling to find the time. And I remember sending him, I think it was replays, and then he was like analyzing it as well. I can't remember. Ooh. And he did get up to my pace eventually. It just took him a lot longer. But that also comes back in the role with like being good to have a teammate. You have someone to compare to. You're not going in blind. Compared to, say, anyone who's running solo. Like, I'm just gonna pull up a name that I think is running solo, like CTRK, for instance. I don't think anyone was practicing with him. He has no one to compare to. They'd have to go into like our chats and say like, hey, what time should I be doing around said track, to figure out like what will be a good lap. Well, you can have an idea what a good lap is, but you don't know what like the best lap is. It's definitely very helpful to have a teammate, basically.
All right. Well, thank you very much on that. They're great responses all around. Next question I have for you guys. Obviously, middle of the season, before we got to the summer break, I think it was before the summer break, we had the simulated test day at Brands Hatch. Obviously, not in the Super Formula car; those were using the Radical. Obviously, I asked you both quite a few questions on that day, but I'm curious now, looking back on it, what was it like?
For me, it felt like just doing practice on a game. I took it like that. I didn't really take it as like, oh my god, there's this and this person watching me. I didn't have the pressure of like, oh, John's gonna watch me. What if I screw up? Stuff like that. The one thing I took of it, I just took it as a race. So going into the race, I think I finished the first one in second, and then the second one in first, if I remember.
Yes,
I remember.
I believe that was correct, because I believe you also were ended up the winner of the overall event.
Yeah, I
at the end
was.
of the
Yeah.
day.
But I was really happy with the thing because and I remember in the first race, like that was just kind of my get up to speed type of race, see what Nico's doing, like just being directly behind him, maybe just staying in his slip, trying something. That didn't end up happening, but I tried. Second race, starting from the back, I find passing people really like strong suit of mine. Not in the sense like, oh, I can just get by everyone, but in the sense I can set up a move nicely. I think I even went around the outside. No one expected me to do it. I remember watching it back on the stream, thinking like, oh my god, I'm crazy. But again, I looked at it and I'm like, that's a move I don't think many people would try because they don't think it's possible. And then just finding that little window of opportunity was also really nice for that. But overall, that test day was really nice. I found it a good opportunity to like kind of see how things would run, at least just being in the car wise. But yeah, that's kind of how I saw it.
Yeah, the test day was definitely something different for sure. Like it's something that not a lot of people get to do. Something that doesn't happen a lot in Gran Turismo. Maybe in other games like iRacing, it happens. But in Gran Turismo, it's a very rare thing for something like that to happen. And we like the test day itself, like the way that it was run was pretty good. I was happy with everything, how everything went. Pace, on the other hand, for me was a little bit slower. I think I did all right, not as to the same level that I would want for me, but it was still good.
Well, it was certainly a great experience, at least for me in the commentary booth. It was fantastic to be able to watch you guys perform, and yeah, it was a real blast. Both that and the whole season was incredible to watch, and really honored to be able to commentate on all that. Final category, I guess, for us to cover. We've got a bit of a lightning round. We're calling this short answer questions, just to get a little more content built up.
So no marathons.
No marathons. First up, what was your favorite race of the season?
For me, I'll say Le Mans.
Definitely not Le Mans for me, that's for sure. I would say probably Catalunya, actually, because we all finished within like 5 seconds of each other. Actually, not even like 3.
That was a good race.
That was a good race.
Catalonia with the high
up there for me.
tire wear was a fantastic race to watch, yes. Next up, what would you say was your greatest strength over the course of the season?
Ooh.
I'll let SK think about that for a second, but I gotta say mine was probably just consistency. Like, literally just consistently placing on the podium, consistently trying to do, like, good laps. Not really many mistakes like other people.
For me, it's really hard to kind of depict these two. I'd say consistency after a certain point of the season. I think setup development was also a really big thing for me because I got really good at making setups. At a certain point in the season, you can even ask Ryan. Sometimes he would just ask me, "Hey, what's the setup?" You know what I mean? So, and then minor tweaks from there. So either consistency, setup, or just the sheer like pace. Because sometimes I can just be. I know we were saying I have a problem with, getting up to speed, but sometimes at some tracks, I just do like 4 laps and I'm already within like 3/10 of where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, it depends on the track.
It obviously depends, but yeah.
What would you say was your greatest weakness?
I actually gotta think about this one.
Yeah, same. Damn.
Greatest weakness.
A bit of a difficult one considering you two were pretty much always up front.
If I'm comparing to like Larson and S2K, missing that little bit, like that little extra 1% of pace for me.
I know this is a lightning round, but I'm working a little bit slow here.
It's all good. We can edit it down, Ivan.
All right. Weakness, bro. Shoot. I mean, I have like a couple I can think of. I know I just said one of my strong suits is the setup, but I feel like what Adaptive has like a really ragged edge setup that he can do every time. So I think kind of understanding also the limit of what you can do on a setup for absolute pace, I feel like that's probably my biggest weakness. I think my driving was really solid.
Next question coming up. What would you consider your most memorable moment?
Most memorable moment. I actually don't know. I'm trying to think.
For me, I feel like this could be like relatively basic, but I feel like the switchback I did on Nico at Catalunya, because I remember watching the stream back. He pitted on lap 51. I pitted on lap 54. From like the streamer perspective, except for you were all like, "Oh my god!" Like, look at the tire advantage. I remember that. But I remember like thinking like, "Okay, I may have lost this race," but I remember it so vividly because, or I believe vivid means like in depth. I hope. But
I remember coming out of the pit lane, I felt heat going straight to my face. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to lose this race after leading 54 laps. Like, that's not going to happen. And I remember like being behind him, and normally it's really hard to just get close to a car, especially at Catalonia where it's really high speed. It's really hard to get close. Then, like, again, I did not talk one bit, I don't think, until I got really close to him. I was trying different lines, like in turn 3, so like the long sweeping right, I was like in the middle of the track, and then the right hand after that, I was going wide, and then I was getting a good exit, and I was trying all these different things, and I was getting like maybe 2 tenths, 3 tenths. In the final corner, I think I gained a quarter of a second, and then, or not quarter of a second, I think it was 4 tenths. And I remember just hammering laps, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get by. And then I remember I was putting pressure on me, got the penalty, and then all that happened. I remember the move, and I'm like, oh my, it was like perfect. It was like absolutely like perfect.
So that was probably my most memorable moment. Yeah.
I would say for me, and the way at least it ended for me, but like the most memorable moment that I think like multiple people have is the absolute war that me and Nico had at Road Atlanta in the final laps. That's probably the most memorable moment that I had.
Like from me, I guess as well, even though it didn't end as well for me, but like for other people as well. It was just a lot of fighting happening at the end of the race. Lester with a little bit of help at the end too, with the little, I would say a little bit of lazy throttle, I guess. But it was definitely a hard fight, and then the move at the end of the final lap, I won't bring it up again, I swear. But yeah, it was definitely a good fight, that one. I need that light still.
That's twice.
It's all good. All right. Next question. What do you want to see improved moving forward for the next season?
It's already done pretty well, but I'd like to see it a little bit better. There's probably a bit more clarity in the rules when it comes to overtaking a car, when it comes to car contact. I think that it needs like being like a Formula racing series. The car contact should be taken a bit more seriously, where no contact should be allowed, period. Sure, if there's like tiny bits of rubbing, but like any sort of like actual contact, I would say there needs to be something done about it. Like even if it's like it's kind of arbitrary the way they do this, the way this is, but I'm going to say it anyway, is maybe we'll have like more penalty points, and then for like more penalty points season, say for like 50, for instance, and then for like every like car contact, we would get 1, like something like that, 1 or 2, depending on the severity of the contact, and then have like the other penalties be worth more penalty points, that like cost more penalty points to like be issued. So the penalty points will be more, and there'll be car contacts for penalty points, but the same percentage from like, say, I'm sorry, SDK, I'm gonna bring this up, your bad rejoin at Daytona, like that should be worth the exact same percentage as it did for you with 12 penalty points. It should be worth the same percent, but it'll just be more penalty points, the same percentage overall. So it might be a bit difficult to implement at first, but I think doing it that way will make the racing a lot more clean, a lot more fair. It'll make people second guess like these stupid aggressive sends on lap 1 or even any lap when it comes to like just giving nudges to people like I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a rant for a second.
The thing, like I'm saying with lag, basically, is and Lester put this a good way. He said it to me. It was definitely a good way he put it. Was people are connecting from all across the world. Like we're not all in our backyards at a LAN. There'd be no problem. But because we're connecting from all the way around the world, you know that there's going to be lag in the lobby. There's going to be some lag. Like even if it's the perfect host, perfect day, the weather's perfect, the stars align, and like the internet's like perfect, you're going to have some lag no matter what. So I would say like to have that knowledge of if there's car contact and you blame it on lag, like you immediately that's an invalid argument for the car contact. You know there's going to be lag in the lobby. You're not connecting from next door. You're connecting from halfway across the world for most people. Because for us being in North America, there's people in South America, there's Central America too, people all over Europe. Like you're connecting from everywhere, so there's going to be lag basically. So I would say to take car contacts with lag, that's just really egregious lag, but car contacts with little bits of lag, more seriously, sorry, to prevent people making these really aggressive moves.
I think that would probably be the best way to improve the quality of the racing in the series.
I'm gonna just piggyback off that. I'll say better hosts, and I actually like the idea of that penalty system, so I'll just stick with that.
All right.
I had to go a little bit in depth. Sorry about that.
Yep, all good.
It's good. It's good to save me some explanation. So there you go.
All good.
I just took your time.
Next question I've got: in one word, what is the most important thing for success in sim racing?
You can go first, SK, if you have something I'm still thinking.
I feel like these are kind of interchangeable words, either dedication or discipline. I think those two. I say probably discipline if I had to choose between the two.
Yeah, I would probably say. Yeah, I would probably say discipline as well, but also the drive to do it.
Because if you don't have the drive to do the races or sim racing in a whole, why are you be real with yourself for a second? Why are you doing it? It has to be fun for you. You have to enjoy it, and it can't be something you do because I gotta do this because I gotta be quickest. A lot of people do that in sim racing where they want to do it just because they want to be first. GWS. Yeah, exactly. And basically, look at anyone in GWS. I'm not pointing names. You know exactly who, SUK. I'm not pointing names. But there are certain people that race this game that say, "Oh, I want to be in first place. Every other position doesn't matter to me. If the racing was clean and good, I don't care. I'm not first." There are people that like that. There are people that are like that exist. That in sim racing, which are not it's not the way to go racing because then you get these really hard hits and incidents. SUK has had a couple of them in official season so far. Okay, you just call it right out. Okay. Okay. Oh boy. That needs to be a short. You gotta send that to dude. That gotta make that a short. That was his freebie. That was his freebie. Okay, yeah. Oh man.
Well, okay.
Yeah, so I'm basically done already.
Sorry. It's all good. Obviously, I think the important question we're all wanting to know is, will you guys be back for next season?
As for me, more than likely a yes. So I really enjoyed the series. I mean, it was the most competitive season I've done. I mean, we also had ERF, which is endurance racing, which tends to be competitive, but this was so fun. Doing the practice, understanding qualifying, racing people actually on track, developing strategy, making overtakes, or talking about strategy, like what DK was saying, always having the information cycling through. The whole experience is very exhilarating, I find, and it's kind of hard to match that unless you're actually in the car. So, this is the second best thing you can do. So I think I'll be back. Yeah.
I will most likely be back. There's definitely some stuff that I want to see changed in the rule book for sure, and how stuff is run, just personally with me, just to make the quality of racing better. That's all really it. I'll most likely be back. I would still want to see those changes, but yeah, the open wheel experience on Gran Turismo, I think this is as best as it's going to get.
All right. Well, I'm glad you mentioned it because my next question, obviously, if folks at home haven't already seen the Discord, it has just been announced that next season will be taking place across both Gran Turismo 7 and iRacing. So, with that in mind, what circuit are you most looking forward to or hoping to race at next season?
I know yours right away, S2K. I know yours already. I don't know about mine yet. You start. I just had to say that.
Mine's gonna be in Abu Dhabi. Yas Marina. I love it. It's a really fun track, and I've loved that track since I was a kid. just the track itself is beautiful. I've always wanted to go to the UAE. It's a very beautiful place. So yeah, they'll be.
This one's a lot tighter of a track, and no, it is not Canada. Like as
I thought you were gonna say Canada. I was gonna
no. Like I know Canada. First of all, I know Canada's gonna be on the schedule. First of all, I know that, but Canada itself is not. That Canada track, Villeneuve, is not that great of a track in Canada. Personally, I prefer something like Motorsport in the game than that track. But for tracks in the game that I would want to see on the calendar next year, people are probably going to hate me for this choice, but I'm going to say it anyway because I don't care. It's probably going to be Autopolis. Like, that track will be really fun. It's a very fast, fun track in these cars, I think. And then add in the mix of variable conditions, it'll be a very good race to watch.
Get out the car.
I know you don't like Autopolis.
I'm gonna explain to you why the track's gonna be so garbage. It's gonna be like Canada, but not Canada. It's gonna be like Catalonia, but on steroids. It's like, okay, first corner you're gonna get understeer. The next couple set of corners you're gonna get understeer. The hairpin, you're gonna be behind the car. You're gonna get loose. And the left hand, you're gonna get understeer. And then the hairpin, you're gonna get loose again.
It's a fun track. That's all I was saying. It's a fun track. I like to sit on the calendar. It's better than Canada. Canada's not good.
I agree entirely.
Canada is not a good track. No, Abu Dhabi is definitely a better track than Canada.
Last but not least, gentlemen, who's winning the championship next season?
I mean, okay, if the roster is basically the same thing, I'm just going off of what last season's results are. I think it's going to be really like a top 4 battle. If Nico decides to do it again, I think it's going to be between, again, me, Nico, Larson, and DK. But I think it's going to be really interesting. I think Adaptive is going to be definitely a title contender. But, I have a drive, and I don't like coming second, as I said like half an hour ago. So, definitely, I think I'll be up there. So, I'll say me.
Okay.
Gotta be confident. We got to get one more of these.
Yeah, you got to get one more of those. Yeah. It's definitely. What is it? It's like a difficult question. Because, like, if you go off of last season's result, it's probably, like, I'm just going to say the way it is. It's probably going to be S2K or Larson, sorry. But you never know how it could go. Sorry, I just got a message from Ivan saying if we're finished the interviews or not. So I guess we're going quite long. So yeah, speed up. I get it. It'll probably be one of those two fighting for it too. But I think also with my consistency, I'm gonna be up there as well. So I think I need to get a bit better on the pace side, and then once I get better on the pace side, I can really fight with these guys, I think.
So for argument's sake, we'll both say you're saying yourselves. All right.
Yes.
Yes. Basically, yes.
Gentlemen, thank you both so much for joining me. I wish you both the best of luck for the upcoming season. And
appreciate it.
if you folks at home would like to think you've got what it takes to go up against the best of the best, be sure to check out the Scorpio eSports Discord for all future updates for the upcoming Scorpio Super Formula Series. Signups and calendar are TBA, but should be announced very soon. Once again, I've been Scorpio Blade. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We hope to see you all for round 1 of the Scorpio Super Formula Season 2. Good night, everybody.